Greetings everybody, my name is DJ. Today you're going to learn how to manifest what you want for real using my new model of manifestation called reality synthesis. This is going to tell you everything you need to know to manifest what you want as quickly and efficiently as possible. For real. We don't stuff around here, we get straight to the point. How do we get manifestations done quickly, efficiently, overnight, with minimal effort? I will tell you, you do nothing. That's right, you do nothing, because you don't control a damn thing. You don't control anything. It's all I am, or God within you, that does all the work. But you can't accept it. You got conditions in the way. You got expectations. You got all this trash you're trying to conform to. All of these conditions that you think you need to meet up to in order to manifest. That's what's in the way. We have to be willing to drop the attachment to being seen in a specific way, living in the lives and expectations of other people, conforming to the way that they think that we should be, but we really don't need to be. And so when you do nothing, it's actually a detachment, a letting go of, I don't need to be this way. I never needed to be this way to begin with. This was never my expectation to buy into. Because, let me just say, right? If there wasn't a barrier in the way of you and getting what you want, you would already be there right now. But what is the barrier? What is the thing that's keeping you in the, stuck in the box, stuck in the trap, cycling through this trash over and over again? You know what it is? It's a not self-expectation, a condition. It's a condition in the way of accepting what is already there. Your desire is already done before you imagine it. Your imaginal senses, they don't have any power. They don't. God himself said the technique has no power, it's what's implied. So what is implication? What is this whole it's implied thing that he said mean? Implication is meaning of what something does or relates to you. So if you have an association to a desire that you want to manifest in this world, and that has an attachment to it, I can't be this way because X person doesn't agree with it, you won't be able to let go and have that thing come to you. But it was already done before you imagined it, meaning it was already it's already determined to come to you. Because you have it, it's already done, but you can't accept that it's already done because there's a condition in the way. This other person's expectation is more powerful, more important to you than the truth that's already within you. So please understand that the solution to your manifestation problem is not to stick in the box, not to try and dance around and validate the condition, trying to make it so that it's like, oh, this thing doesn't matter anymore, even though it does. The way that you really break down the conditions, truly, is to feel how you actually feel about that thing. And that's the secret ingredient. It's done before you imagine it. And that's why. Because God is who manifests the thoughts through you. Right? Listen very carefully. Every single thought that you have, all of them without exception, come from God. No matter what. Right? The I am nature is what manifests all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, and everything in between. But wherever we have a split from allowing free expression of I am to come through us, to drive our consciousness, there is the creation of the corporeal identification. Corporeal identification, aka not self, the character that you play in the world, all this conditioning, right? That is a byproduct of what is not self, right? Because there is basically, I've drawn up this diagram here, right? You see there's I am, and then there is the condition. So you had a moment in time where effectively there was a moment where you had to compromise on your innate expression, which was I am, right? I am wanted to express in this way, but because of usually familial, parental type stuff, we are conditioned into being a certain way in life. Something happens to us and our innate nature gets locked out. We can't be this way. And so as a result, there is the creation of shadow. Shadow is not self-trash that basically then prevents the free flow of current coming through you to manifest the thoughts automatically coming through you to manifest what you want without doing anything. Because all of what you manifest would automatically unfold through you if you were free of all of your unconscious conditioning. And of course, unconscious conditioning is what you've buried so that you don't have to face. It's parts of you that you've basically thrown away because if you accepted those parts, it would hurt other people's feelings. In other words, it would hurt the feelings of your parents. And if you hurt the feelings of your parents, usually it's your parents, then you would be unsafe and you'd be attacked again. So you basically build this wall around a part of you, around I am, that tells you that I can't be this way or I'm going to be attacked and I'm going to be seen in this bad light and it's going to be bad. It's going to make bad things happen. And so the result, the projection that you live, It's like a shadow, right? I am would cast a clear, this whole circle would be clear. But it's not, because there's an expectation in the way, there's a condition in the way. It's that I can't allow what is already innate within me, the seeds that are already there, to unfold through me, to manifest through me, because I got this block in the way, this trash, this condition that says I can't do this thing or else I'm going to be seen in this way. So as I said, the solution to our conditioning is to, I'm willing to be seen this way, to be myself, because that's who I am. That is self-love. Self-love is, I'm willing to be seen by whoever, doing what I love, because that's who I am, and not giving a damn. Being shameless, uncompromising, mercilessly yourself, uncompromisingly, mercilessly being yourself. That is how you manifest what you want. You become yourself completely and not condition any of the movement that's coming through you from that I am nature. The currents that come through you and drive you, those sudden insights, spontaneous intuitive impulse, you have a sudden insight of movement. I want to go to this place, I want to say this thing to this person, whatever it is, but oh no, I can't do that because of X reason, Y reason, blah 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 blah, right? And you have all this stupid, I'm going to chicken out from that, because if I involve in that, it's going to hurt X people's feelings. And I can't do that because I don't want to be seen in a bad light. That's the problem. So the solution to the conditioning is, I'm willing to step on their toes to get what I want. Have some guts. Be like, nah, I'm going to have some boundaries. I'm going to actually respect who I want to be in this world. And I'm going to say, no, you don't matter anymore. I'm done. I'm done with that. That's what I did to manifest my SP overnight. And it worked. It worked. It was the one thing I didn't do because none of these people told me to do it. But I did it and it worked. That's the truth. Nothing else worked. Nothing else. So I was given the runaround by all these coaches telling me to be all lovey-dovey and all this stuff, when in truth, I needed to own how I really felt. And how I really felt was furious. And I felt that fury and I put it onto who attacked me and conditioned me into being a certain not self-expectation. That was how I detached from thinking that I needed to buy into that expectation, and I actually could allow myself to then freely flow and manifest the thing that I wanted, which was already guaranteed to me anyway. This is what I'm telling you guys. It's done before you imagine it. Because your imaginal senses don't do a damn thing. It doesn't do anything. Your imaginal scenes don't do anything. They can't. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. It's very simple. The reason why imaginal scenes don't work, first and foremost, is because people with aphantasia don't have imaginal senses and yet they can still manifest. That's an irrefutable proof that says that your imaginal senses do not have power. And Neville Goddard also said, the technique has no power whatsoever. It's what's implied. That's what he said. Can't remember which lecture it was called, but it's out there. I've quoted it many times. It's what's implied. Do you know what what's implied means? It means if I have this thing, the condition will be brought up. So if you imagine something and you cut through the condition, you can have it. But what does it mean to cut through the conditioning? It means to go all the way into, this condition is irrelevant, I can have what I want now, meaning I can be driven by I am, into accepting what it is that I have, and I allow myself to have all of my feelings, all of my thoughts, all of my innate nature, feelings and thoughts and all of the things, everything that comes through me. I allow myself to have all of it and not care what people expect me to be like. I'm shamelessly, uncompromisingly myself. That's how you get places. That's how you live as someone who's not bound in any boxes or any conditions or expectations to be someone you're not. Because your truth, right? This is the 3 rings. If you lived as I am nature, the truth, you would automatically manifest everything you want without any trying, without any effort. Because it would come through you and you would be clear because your unconscious mind doesn't have any buried trash in it. You can allow yourself to flow. You can be yourself. You can be yourself for real. You don't need to be stuck in the box. How do you get out of the box? How do you get out of this? The conditions are what keep you in the box. I can't be this way because of X reason, Y reason. Someone else in my reality, I'm conforming to their view of me and how they expect me to be to stay safe in their view. When you're willing to step on their feet and say, stuff you, I'm gonna do what I want, you get places. You manifest things for real. That's how I got out of being stuck in the box for years. I was so badly off that you wouldn't believe it. The only thing that got me out of that box was actually accepting how I really felt. I don't need to be here anymore. I don't need to be conforming to this expectation. I'm done with this trash. And I moved on and I involved myself in living that life for real because it reflected who I was being, which is why I have right here. Involvement equals faith. Whenever you imagine a scene, pay attention. Pay attention. The only power that imaginal scenes have is the implied involvement that represents the innate self accepting that it always had authority. And it's the I am nature accepting that it always had the authority. And this projection lens, right? Sorry, no, the condition lens. This is where the overlay is established that projects onto the screen of space, which is, the reality that we experience, right? The not self expectation. It's that when you realize that you never needed to buy into this in the first place, this lens can become clear and this all gets wiped. All the shadow, all the not self, that all gets wiped away, right? Because not self is a privation of light, meaning it's the absence of light. Illumination, it's the absence of illumination. Not self is the absence of illumination, meaning everything that's not going to drive you into who you want to be, everything that buys into expectations that you think that you are, that is an absence of light. That is an absence of illumination of I am. Because I am is always coming through you, always driving you, always giving you insights, always giving you intuitive impulses to be involved, giving you insights, I don't need to be this way, but you're still holding on for dear life. You're still holding on. I can't be this way. It's too uncomfortable. If I do this, it's going to be bad because they're going to attack me. They're going to see me in a bad light. That's what a lot of you will have. That's not always the case. It's not always a familial type thing in the same sense. It's not always the same intensity, but it's on the spectrum of what I'm discussing. There's a reason, an expectation, a condition in the way of accepting how you really feel. That's the problem, right? The solution to the problem is, I never needed to be that way. Thus, insight is, I never needed to conform to false expectations of others who conditioned I am. Who I am, you could even say, right? And that is, once again, allowing the lens of the condition to be cleaned, to become a blank slate, to be instantaneously reborn. Oh, I can be myself. You wake up in the dream, you're like shocked. Oh, I can be myself. What am I doing here? I can be myself. I can be driven. And you have all of these sudden insights, these moments of clarity. It'll just come through you. And you'll be able to finally relax. You'll be able to finally just be. You won't have reasons, expectations, conditions you need to buy into and conform to be yourself. Because you're already being yourself all the time anyway. You just can't accept how it's really being driven. And that's the truth, right? So once again, I want to go over what resistance actually is to really prove this point, hammer it in all the way. What is resistance? What is a condition? What is an expectation? I already went over it before, but we'll go over it again in a new light. So I'm going to say conditions are unresolved conflicts. Unresolved conflicts are really what conditions are. It's pressure that we have within us that we wanted to express from our past sense of self, right? The I am nature wanted to express itself this way because that was an authentic expression. That was a healthy psychological function as a child, right? But you weren't allowed to do that. You were denied that. And so there's an unresolved conflict. This unresolved conflict is what you've held on to, basically to stay safe and stay in the box. But really, you never needed to in the first place. You never needed to be that way. And that's the insight, right? I never needed to continue to hold on to this box. I never needed to continue to be this way. Maybe as a child you might needed to, but now that we've got awareness, we don't need to continue to buy into that expectation. You can pick up where you left off from the path, right? We've got these pathways. Pathway revision. Hopefully you've watched my old videos, right? I had the house of cards, all the branching pathways. This thought leads to that thought leads to that thought, and blah, 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 blah. They all lead into each other, right? Pathway work is a branching series of thoughts that they lead into each other and they have implication. So when you think of one of these thoughts, automatically, one of these thoughts will activate every other thought and what that means about you automatically, and you will feel it in your body, right? This is why when you think about having what you want, you feel agitated in your body. Oh, you get tense. You can't accept it. Do you know why? It's because the implication, as Neville Goddard said, go back to what I said, right? Neville Goddard said, the implication is what has the power. The implication, not the technique. The technique represents something to you, means something about you. That's where the transformation is. It's an acceptance of self. The technique is not about the sensory details because that was done before you imagined it. The sensory details are already there. They're already there. The imaginal senses relaying the details doesn't matter. The sensory details are already there before you imagine it. You're just doing that as a part of a ritual technique, which Neville Goddard said the technique has no power whatsoever. There, right? It's done. There's no argument, there's no debate. Everybody teaching imaginal scenes creates reality is full of trash, and they're contradicting what Goddard himself said. Absolutely ignorant trash. Neville Goddard never said that the sensory details matter. Never. Not once. The implication is what matters, which is about how you lead the pathways, which is about who you're being, how you're involving yourself, what you're accepting, your boundaries. What you're accepting, who you're being, is what matters. That's what actually manifests. Your self-love manifests. How much you love yourself is what manifests your life. Because that's you accepting your innate nature, I am. Instead of giving it away to other people. That's what a condition is. You're throwing your innate nature away to other people. And you're giving yourself away. You're throwing a part of your being away to other people in your life who think they have control and power over you. Or at least you think they do. But they don't. They never did. That's the problem. So the solution, the magical insight, is I never needed to conform to these expectations to begin with. I can recollect these lost parts of myself as the shadow of the projection of I am. Meaning I can actually lose the not self expectations, the character that I was playing, who I thought I was, who has all this trash holding on to all these feelings. You have your feelings and you realize, oh, I don't have to be the way that these people expect me to be anymore. I don't have to conform to this expectation. I can be myself. I can finally be. I'm worth the change. I love myself. I'm passionate for my own transformation. That's the insight that you'll have. I can be myself. I can finally accept the wish fulfilled. Now remember, Neville Goddard said the feeling, right? The magical feeling, which I've defined as the intuitive targeting sense, which is a subconscious sense. If you've gone back and watched my old videos, you'll know what I mean. The solution is always an acceptance of what is already innate and a rejection of what is not. So you can literally, by doing this, you can literally throw away the shadow that's projecting the not self-identification that you think that you are. You can literally throw away, just reject who you think you are, that's not who you want to be, and accept who you are. By feeling how you really feel, seeing the expectation as irrelevant, and cutting through it all the way. I can be myself. I never needed to be the way they expected me to be. And the imaginal scene that will work is the one that implies that this is true for you now. That you've accepted it. The acceptance of the wish fulfilled. That is the feeling. Neville Goddard defined the feeling as the acceptance that the wish has been fulfilled. That is his definition. As quoted in a video that I put up like 2.5 years ago now, I think. Sometime around there, one of my old forest walking talks. The solution is always the insight of, I never needed to be that way in the first place. I can have what I want. I can be myself. I never needed to be that way in the first place. And that is going to be the solution to dissolve the agitation that keeps bringing up these trash thoughts in your mind. So I want to address this question as well. People will say, oh, that's all well and good, DJ, but what about this? I keep having these negative thoughts come up. What do I do about those thoughts? Simple question, simple answer. Conditioning is stagnant current, literally, right? Because current I am drives you. It's a part of I am nature that was locked in time. Oh, I can't be this person. And so this God force, right? It's warming, it's illuminating, it's activating. Okay, so I am current that circulates through you. When it basically isn't allowed to circulate and move, it gets stuck. It gets locked in place. And you know what activating, illuminating starlight does when it can't move? It forms heat. And heat agitates the meridian systems. And it causes the different parts of your being to become restless, we could say, right? They're like, and you can't contain your feelings. That is you, the real you, denying how you feel. That's what you're feeling. Every time that you go through a dip cycle, it's your innate sense of self, your I am, telling you, DJ, wake up, we've got these feelings, and this means about us that we don't have to be stuck in this box anymore. Really, the feeling is that the people who did it to you, but you'll probably place it on yourself because we're told in this community that feeling negative things towards other people is bad, even though that's how you actually felt when it was impressed in you. That's how you actually feel. You hated the people who did that to you with fury, unparalleled, merciless fury. And no, I can't feel that, that's bad. Oh, that's negative. No, that feeling is your solution. looking at the people who did this to you and being real with yourself, how do I actually feel? How does innate me feel about being stuck in the box? That other people have violated my boundaries in the past, traumatized me, and kept me in the box to be the way they expect me to be, and deliberately did this to me, knowing the difference. You may say, oh, they did the best they could. No, they didn't. They did it consciously. They're aware of their own conditioning to a certain level. Everyone is, because we all go through the cycles. We all know about that. But they left it out of their mind. They did this to you. It happens to you. The child doesn't manifest the experience because they can't even conceive of it. Right? Obviously. Children do not manifest trauma through their imaginal, I'm going to imagine getting traumatized. What a load of trash. None of these people can explain childhood trauma. None of them can explain it. Not one. But I'll tell you the truth, right? Because I went through it. I dealt with all this stuff myself. I've been through it. I've done that work. It was simply that I needed to accept how I felt and fully own it and accept it all the way, no matter what. And the implications of that was what I was freed through. The implication was, I don't need to be this way anymore. I can accept who I want to be. And then everything started to move because innate current was able to flow. It wasn't stuck and causing this agitated heat feeling that was keeping me stuck in the box. Because that was me trying to feel how I really felt, but wasn't giving myself permission to accept. Thus, resistance, conditioning, expectations are literally, I can't be myself because of X reason. And so when you can allow yourself to throw away that reason for real by having your innate feelings, which are really how you actually feel, obviously your God self feels, when you can have your feelings, everything can start to move. The agitating current doesn't stick around, meaning that you won't go through these dip cycles of this trash. Every time that you feel those feelings, it will empower you. It will bring you into loving yourself, because that's what it really means. Those feelings are trying to get you to love yourself instead of being stuck in the box to them. They're trying to get you to wake up. Start moving. Start circulating the current. Start feeling that stuff and stop running away from it. Accept it. You'll hear all these people in this space talk about, oh, just feel the feeling and be present with it, but don't feel it all the way. Don't blame. Don't cast it. Don't do any of this stuff. Just sit with it. Just sit with the feel. What a load of trash. Useless, ignorant trash. That's what that is. I'll tell you the truth. I used to do that stuff. I used to do that a lot. Because I used to think, oh, this will solve my problem if I just feel it. No, it doesn't. You have to, the feeling is there to give you the insight of, I never needed to be this way because these people who conditioned me, the not self-expectation, the projection, the shadow, they created in their act by traumatizing me, they created this part of me that's not self. So by me allowing myself to feel that fully and casting it onto them, right, I'm allowing myself to grab this and throw it away. And therefore, the lens becomes clear. Therefore, I am can drive me and I have self-respect. I have boundaries. I have love within myself. That I'm willing to go and involve myself in things that are not according to what they expect me to be like. I can free myself from these expectations, these conditions. I can finally be free. That's the insight, guys. That's the truth. I can finally make the decisions that I want to make. I can finally be involved in living the life that I want. I don't have to be stuck in the box. I don't have to compromise. I don't have to self-sabotage. I don't have to constantly run through these cycles of being stuck. Oh no, I feel this fear. Oh no, I feel this. I can't do that. It's like heavy. Oh, it's too heavy. I can't make the decision. Oh, I can't go all the way because of X reason, Y reason. All these conditions, all these reasons, all these psychological phenomena is your innate self trying to break through. That's all there is. It's really who you are trying to break through to get you to wake up so you can throw away all the trash. You don't need, there is no fixing the trash. You throw it away. You discard the trash. Right? It's not about fixing the not self. You don't fix the not self. You throw the not self away. And how do you do that? Again, you have the insight. I'm allowed to be myself. I don't have to be this way. I never needed to. Because my innate self never needed to in the first place. But because I was violated by somebody in some way, shape or form, I thought that I needed to, but I never needed to. That's the insight. It's that simple, guys. But of course, all these coaches, oh, you're all of it all the time, you're all of this stuff. You're always God, you're always all of these things. You're all the feelings and thoughts. Yeah, but how do you apply that in a functional way? What I just told you is how you do it. I told you the secret, guys. It's not. Remember, insight is not, I can have what I want while keeping the expectations happy. You're not going to keep the expectation happy. Meaning, you're going to go all the way in breaking the expectation, breaking the boundary, breaking the box that's keeping you stuck. you're going to go all the way. When you go all the way, you don't lose, you win. Because you're loving yourself completely, which is discarding, not self. Every time that you allow yourself to feel that self-love, right, that throws away the trash because it can't stand in that love. That self-love purifies the not self stuff and throws it away. It purifies your unconscious. You overlap the states, they purify, the subconscious mind expands, and you move automatically through intuitive impulse. All of the actions will be automatic. That's not to say that you won't have little bits and pieces come up along the way, but for the most part, when you learn to love yourself properly by denying the condition's authority, all of the actions that you'll take will come through you. You will think, oh, I want to do this thing, and it'll be a subtle intuitive impulse. I want to make this decision, go this, blah, 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 right? Something will come up in your reality and the magic will work. When really it's just I am was always doing the work, but you weren't able to allow it to do that. So I hope we're all getting an idea of what's going on here. Accepting self, accepting I am, living in the I am, living in God, being in God mode, doing all this magical stuff is loving yourself. It's loving yourself. That's what it is. Because the conditions are, I can't love myself. I can't have a functional, healthy psyche. I have to live under this stupid shadow projection trash. I can't throw it away because of these people's expectations. Be willing to step on people's toes. Be willing to do that because that's how someone with healthy, functional boundaries, healthy, functional self-love, sense of self, who sees themselves as worth the change, worth the expectations no longer mattering to them, that's what they'll be willing to do. Because it's petty and stupid to buy into the expectations and continue to compromise in living the life you want just because of some stupid past trash that someone did to you. That doesn't matter anymore. It's done. And by you actually having that insight and making those decisions and going all the way with that, by having the implication, the implied involvement on an inner level and hopefully on an outer level as well to come through you, right? That will drive your actions that they will then maybe see, and that will give them an insight to illuminate some of their trash that they might need to look at. That's how you change other people. You change other people by being yourself. You don't change other people by being not self, because not self doesn't create. It can't. It doesn't have any power. Your not self is the lack of illumination. It's the lack of light. All it does is create experiences which try and lead it to the light. That is the truth about how manifestation works and why it's done before you imagined it. The current comes through you, it drives you because you love yourself. Loving yourself is accepting that the conditions don't matter anymore. And that means feeling how you really feel and not denying how you really feel, which is your truth. That's how I am feels. That is literally how you feel. I want to make this clear to you guys because it's the magic solution. How you really feel is I am communicating to you what you basically denied I am access to because of the expectation. How you feel, how you think you feel, right, is actually I am coming through you. That is literally I am coming through you. But you're denying, you're locking it out. No, I can't have that feeling. That's bad, 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 bad. You're labeling the feeling. You don't just sit with it. You don't just look at it. You don't just be there with it. You accept that the feeling that you're having that's showing up, that represent, and remember, it's not about I'm lost in the box feelings. It's the feelings that represent self-love. The feelings that represent I'm worth more than this expectation. Those are the feelings of expansion, growth, loving yourself, illuminating more of yourself, becoming a suitable vessel for I am to fully immerse itself in, right? The lens, the not self lens. As you purify this trash, the shadow begins to go away, which is the not self. So the corporeal identification begins to literally be thrown away, and you become more of yourself in response by loving yourself. And the way you do that is by accepting how you really feel and not denying it, because denial is the not self expectation. If you deny it, you're literally you're giving into the expectation. You're living according to the expectation. You're living according to the not self projection. The projection, right? The not self projection, that is the overlay of the conditions, the way that it's trying to, keep you in the box. This projection is the not self trash. Is this, right? It's the shadow on the lens that represents reality. So if you buy into and deny how you really feel, that is the not self. You're empowering, or you're not really empowering the not self, but you're continuing to live in the not self. All of this should be abundantly clear. Everything that we're doing is accepting who we already are. This is not about imaginal experiences. It's not about imaginal experiences. I've already proven that. I've proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Which it blows my mind that I still have people coming to me and telling me, oh DJ, but I imagined this thing and it manifested. No, it was done before you imagined it. It was already done because it was already there. The currents drive everything. You think that you're thinking the thoughts, but you're not, because that's I am coming through you. But you're watching it from the shadow perspective. Oh, that's not my thought, even though it is. You see what I'm saying, right? It's I am is casting this thought down, but you're in not self-expectation conditioning perspective. I have to buy into this thing. So you're having these thoughts, you're having these feelings. Oh, that's not me, that's not me. I don't like that. So I hope you guys understand. The solution is literally seeing the not self-expectation as when it sees the thoughts, right? When your not self sees the thoughts coming from I am nature down into who you identify as, you don't think it's your thought, but it is. That's I am nature trying to illuminate your trash. But you can't accept it because you're watching it, you're viewing I am from the shadow, thinking that the shadow is not self, it's self, but it's not. It's all coming through you. All of your thoughts, feelings, it's all coming through. That's why you can have all of your thoughts, you can have all of your feelings, because they all come from top down. That's what I'm talking about. And so if you don't deny how you really feel, you win. You purify the not self. You expand. You love yourself. Self-love. Unconditional self-love. And that's how you manifest what you want in life. That's how you be yourself. Shamelessly, uncompromisingly. That's how you win. It's not about imaginal acts. Never was, never is, never will be. None of those people can point to any consistent method that works. Or you have to keep thinking about it. Or you just let it go, you drop it. No, it's all about self-love. Self-love is the way you win. Always. That's the solution. That's why reality synthesis, which is my new model of manifestation, that's why reality synthesis always works. Because it's metaphysical and alchemical, not based on some kind of limited doctrine that people have interpreted what Goddard said incorrectly and misunderstood what the cause of manifestation is. If you imagine something and it manifests, it would have happened anyway. You just intuited what was coming through you from I am. Right? I have manifested impossible things in this world. Literally impossible things. From a single fleeting thought. When I was out and about and I had a single random thought. Oh, wouldn't it be? And it didn't even imply directly with the words that I said what happened. It was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if this was a thing? That's what I said. And impossible things happened. Or I thought, oh, I wonder if this person, I thought, I wonder what this person's doing. And then they contacted me. It wasn't this person is contacting me. It had nothing to do with that. That wasn't the word that I used. I didn't even feel anything. But it came through me. And that was my conscious level experience of I am nature coming through my corporeal identification. And I observed it. But you can't force yourself to drop something if you've got agitating current telling you, no, you can't do that because it's an expectation. So the agitating current that causes these negative thoughts to surface, the way that you solve them properly is by solving the conflict that was never resolved and allowing I am to do its thing. Meaning to have your feeling, cast your judgment the way that it really is. When you were in the past, for example, allow yourself to have your feeling and deny the authority of the people who are trying to control you. Love yourself. Break the box, break the condition. Doesn't matter anymore, it's irrelevant. I'm past this trash. These people mean nothing to me anymore, I'm way past that. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. Don't deny it. So this is how we win. This is always how we win. We stop trying to imagine, stop trying to manifest by imagining more vividly or any of this trash, right? Leave all that alone. Drop it and move on. Doesn't do anything other than imply involvement in living the life you want. That's it. Everything is implied involvement because it's the implication of how the pathways are leading the relation to what you're experiencing to your sense of self. So the sense of self is the I am nature in the fixed sense, because that's the point of comparison that the not self is compared to all the time. That determines how you feel. The only reason you feel this way is because there's a comparison, a contrast to your innate nature. And so, of course, the implication is Neville Goddard telling us the secret. Feeling is the secret. The implication is the secret. Because that's the relationship between these things. And when we can allow the self to fully overshadow the trash and kick it out so that self can be projected into the world, that current, that I am current, that drives you and everyone involved with that as well. Because it's coming from the thematic level of reality itself, if we wish, the I am nature, right? God itself. It's coming from beyond the veil. And it's driving everybody intelligently, automatically. That's why you don't do anything. You can't, because it's all coming through you. You think you're doing stuff, but you're not. You think you're doing all of this stuff, but you're not. That's the magic of life. The challenge of life is allowing yourself to see that clearly and to drop the trash. meaning to feel how you really feel and see that the condition that prevents I am from coming through you is irrelevant. The condition is no longer relevant. The expectation, the false expectation to be someone you're not, to conform to an expectation of someone else, you don't need to live in that reality anymore. That's the solution. That's how you drop it out. I don't need to live in that reality. You just go and involve yourself and live in the life you want, because you will be driven automatically to make those decisions. It will come through you, a subtle intuitive impulse. Oh, I want to involve myself in this thing. But the implication of if I do that thing will mean that I'm going to hurt these people. Do it anyway. Involve yourself in that life. Make the decision. Own it. Trust it. Own it and go all the way. That will purify your not self stuff. Doing that decision has the same effect as any imaginal scene would that would represent the same thing, because it's just moving current. It's all moving current. It's all energy circuit, meridian system phenomena. That's what I said in my other video, right? There's no other way of looking at it than that. Otherwise, there's inconsistencies and all this stuff. You can never explain it. You can never explain how reality works by saying it's all what we consciously imagine, or even sometimes unconsciously imagine. Like you watch, like I remember there was an example. I saw online a video of an old TV show that I used to watch way back, right? And I went through a couple episodes of that, and then the next day, I saw in my downstairs, I saw this box, and it had a bunch of DVDs in it from that show, and it was like, whoa, I didn't know I had these. This showed up out of thin air. And I was like, oh, look at that. I wasn't trying to look for it though. I had no intention of manifesting that. But the point is that it came through me because it was available to me, right? So it confirms to me what I was in a state streak to experience. I haven't talked much about state streaks, but whenever you're in state streak and you're basically having that come through you, which was already what was already innate anyway, you will very likely see reflection of that in the world to continue the expectation of that being, available for you to experience, right? So this is why when people go and practice a sport and they continue to do it, they get better at it. That's really all it's doing. They're involving themselves basically they're just doing a state streak cycle. And they're involving themselves in playing the role. Oh, I get better at it because I'm expanding. Oh, I don't have to be stuck in the box. I can be better than this. And they go and involve themselves and they see themselves in that position. Oh, I'm going to keep practicing because I want to. It's the same thing with manifesting. It's the same process, basically, the same mechanics. It's doing the same thing. You're involving yourself in an experience that implies that this thing is available to you because there's no condition, there's no resistance in the way. It's comfortable, it's available, and therefore if it comes to you because it's coming through you, you will probably manifest more of it. That's what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes it can be in big ways or small ways, limited ways, large ways. Signs are pretty much, I'm imagining what I want, but I'm staying in the box. I'm trying to go all the way, but I can't. I'm going halfway, and I'm manifesting bits and pieces, half signs, because I'm not loving myself. I'm still throwing myself away. And therefore you manifest signs. And they make you feel how you really feel. And you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They reflect your limited sense of self. They reflect your lack of self-love. That's what signs do. They reflect your lack of self-love. So I hope now you understand what this is really all about. What's really going on with manifesting. It's got next to nothing to do with imaginal scenes create reality, because they come through you automatically anyway. Your state streak implied involvement that you're automatically experiencing because it's coming through you will flash thoughts in your mind, and those thoughts will correspond to what you experience. But the people who think that the flashed thoughts are what caused it are wrong. It came before the flashed thoughts. That was the translation of those currents into your consciousness that you intuited and claimed was the cause when it never was. It's because these people have an ideology of mentalism, solipsistic, relativistic trash that doesn't work. They can never explain how children are traumatized and hold on to all this trash when the infant doesn't even conceive of what happened to them in the first place. They can't, and yet it still happened. They can't explain that because it doesn't work. Their model of manifestation doesn't work. Mine does. It's consistent. That's why I spent all this time, thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours, in fact, 10, 12 plus hours a day for years, studying the phenomena of metaphysics, alchemy, manifestation, and every surrounding topic that I could. Real physics. The real study. The real deep study. That's way out of the league of what all these other people are talking about. That's the hard work that I did to understand this stuff. It was not done through just reading bits and pieces of what God had said. No. It came through doing a lot more than that. I had to go to depths that you wouldn't even believe exist to come to this understanding. I had to go through knowledge and understanding that most people don't even know exists. That's what I've had to go through. That's why most people in this space are deluded into thinking that manifesting is about imagining, doing techniques. No, it's about what the technique implies. Goddard said that. I'm not saying that's what he said. That's a genius quote. This is why every insight that is functional is about self-love. About, I don't need to be this way. I don't need to manifest this thing because this thing is keeping my not self-projection safe. I don't need this person because this person is just keeping my not self-expectation safe. I never needed them to begin with. That's what you'll begin to say to yourself when you love yourself properly. I don't need this person. This person was just feeding a not self-expectation. It was feeding a part of me that's not even authentic, that doesn't love itself. It was just seeking this person to validate a part of me that I didn't feel like I could accept about myself. That's what most, well not most, but a lot of SP manifestations are really about. And people don't like to hear that, but it's the facts. Because I've been through that myself. Eventually you realize that who you wanted actually isn't who you want. Because you learn to love yourself correctly. And you see all the trash that they did to you. I don't want to be involved in that. That's not self-love. That's just putting myself into abusive scenarios. That's not functional. Throw that trash away and move on. That's how you win. And you'll manifest someone who's perfect. Truly unconditionally loving because you're loving yourself. Do you see now why SP manifesting is not as simple as imagine them over and over again until they show up and try and take their free will away. Take their free will away. They don't have any power. It's all mentalism trash. Useless, ignorant garbage. Throw it away and move on. Start to learn to love yourself. That's how you really manifest things in the world. Been there, done that. Unlike the people who preach this stuff. That's why I don't have respect for these people, because it doesn't work. It keeps people stuck in the box. That's why I have the passion that I do for the work that I have here. Reality Synthesis was created on the passion to prove how manifestation really works. No matter what. No matter what that would entail me talking about. No matter what. I go up against a multi-billion-dollar industry dead set on confirming that mentalism is the way that things work when it never does. So you're going to learn from Reality Synthesis how it really works. You're going to learn how manifestation actually works, the deep mechanics of it, the stuff that you won't hear anywhere else because it's new to my model. This is why you should subscribe to Reality Synthesis, because this is the only model of manifestation ever created on Earth that properly explains every level of manifestation from top to bottom. This is not just about imagining things. This is about being yourself for real. Implied involvement. Involving yourself in experiences on an inner and or an outer level that imply that you're being someone who's broken free from the conditions that bind you into a not self-expectation, which is an identification that's inauthentic, that's not loving self. Therefore, when you allow yourself to be loved, to receive that love from higher nature, from your innate nature, what's already there will manifest for you. Your perceptions will be driven by that I am nature. You won't do anything. You won't lift a finger to make it happen. Because you are I am, not the characteristic of trash that you've bought into from other people. You've thrown that away. Therefore, I don't have to lift a finger to make it happen. Because it's automatic. But your perception will still be, oh, I have to apply myself in this way. Like building Reality Synthesis was hard work. I had to put in 10 plus hours a day for most days of the year. I did. I put in so much of my time to studying this stuff. Day in, day out. It was a lot of work. Sometimes I didn't want to do it, but I know I needed to. I felt that compelled action that Neville Goddard talks about. And I just did it, and I couldn't not stop myself. I couldn't help it, because it's who I was. I had to do it. I just found myself in places of doing all of this, and I had just insights. I woke up in the night, oh, I got an insight, I got to write it down. I couldn't stop it. It was who I was. It was what I did, you know? That's what compelled action is, because you're comfortable with being that person. Because you've cut through the trash, and you're allowing yourself to love yourself by being that person. I couldn't stop it. You won't be able to stop it either. When you learn to love yourself, everything will flow. Because that's how it works. You don't do anything. It comes through you. That's the magic. And that's what Reality Synthesis has proven, irrefutably. So, summarizing this talk, everything that we manifest comes from our higher nature. Because that's where all our power comes from. If we live from not self-expectations, we're going to be trying to control, grasp, manipulate, influence, play games with people. Psychological games. Really, we're playing games with ourselves because we don't love ourselves. And so basically we'll end up in all kinds of whacked scenarios, all kinds of ups and downs. We'll have all these feelings that we're denying about ourselves. When we learn to accept those feelings, that's how we learn to love ourselves. Because that's where our boundaries are actually built into, those feelings, and what they mean about us. That's the important thing, the implication. Neville Goddard said the implication is what has the power. So when you learn to love yourself by accepting what those feelings mean about you and other people in your relationship, and you allow yourself to step on their toes if need be, and not worry about it, be like, no, this is who I am. I don't need to be conforming to their expectations. You don't bind yourself to this expectation of, oh, I need to be stuck in this little box and I need to be a good person. No, you don't. You be who you are. You be who you really are. That's how you learn to love yourself. No matter what it entails, you accept it and you play it out and you'll manifest everything you want easily. That's how it works. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really do. I hope you guys like, share, and subscribe because you'll stick around and you'll get more of this stuff. So as always, everybody, I thank you and stay legendary.